So I had been praying for quite a while to find a way um, to be able to work remotely because I did not want to be in an office setting. Um, and so I've spoken with, some people, and some people have commented, Z, you talk about you left your government job and blah, blah, blah. Why would you do that when you were so close to possibly being able to retire? Good question. Here's my response. I don't talk a lot about, I don't talk about it all on this channel, spirituality, because that's not really what this channel is about. This is about helping women like myself, learn how to build income online for sustainability. But to be perfectly honest with you, back during the 2019 fiasco, um, the end of 2019, beginning of 2020, when the announcement came out in the US, I think it was absolutely around the end of February, beginning of March, or maybe it was beginning of March. I went on a cruise that year, and I was mad because typically when I go on cruises, I try to go on at least 10-day cruises, and they didn't have any 10-day cruises on the line Royal Caribbean that I normally cruise on out of New York. So I could only get a 7-day cruise. And I remember being really upset about that because I'm like, you know what? This is going to go so fast. And it did. But when I got back is when I started hearing about all the stuff that was happening. I wasn't hearing anything when I was out at sea. I didn't know anything about, the 19, didn't know anything about, the hospitalizations, the people passing away, how quickly it was spreading, none of that. So when I got back, I was advised, my manager, I think my manager reached out to me because they had, in the wake of me being gone, they had, set up alternating schedules of people being in and out of the office so that you could kind of maintain that 6 feet of separation that they said that you had to have and all this stuff. And so she was trying to work me back in the schedule. And she's like, well, and I guess she forgot, Z, you went on vacation. Where did you go? And I said, I went on a cruise. And she was like, did you leave the US? I'm like, I went on a cruise. Yeah, I left the US. I was in the Caribbean. And she was like, well, you're going to have to quarantine for 2 weeks. And I was like, okay. Because I was a state employee. So I know that if you're telling me that I cannot come into work, I'm going to get paid regardless. So my 3-week vacation turned into my 1-week vacation turned into a 3-week vacation. I was not mad. So during the course of all this, over the next, I guess maybe a year or so, we were doing this alternating thing, coming in the office, working from home. I really liked working from home. My office, I'm just going to keep it 100. I work in downtown Baltimore. I don't need to say anything else. I shouldn't have to say anything else. So the office was loud. The people in the office were loud. It was hard to concentrate. Constant interruptions. I just didn't, outside of me having a decent view, having a nice window view and kind of a view of the skyline, I did not enjoy being in the office. And then, you always have those 1 or 2 people that make office environment very difficult, right? So I was not enjoying being in the office. And the whole time I was praying, God, please, I just want to work from home, because having those, 2 days from home, 3 days in the office, then 3 days from home, 2 days in the office I was ecstatic. Not to mention at the time that I was commuting. And so oftentimes, I lived out in the county. The subway wasn't far from me, so I would drive to the subway, hop on the subway. It drops me, right across the street, basically, from my job. And so I was commuting for, during this entire time. But people on the subway in the wintertime, people have colds, it's sick, you have homeless people, they're throwing up sputum on it was just disgusting. It was disgusting. So Every day that I woke up and I didn't have to go into the office, I was happy as all get out. Now, here's where it gets interesting. So then they have us coming back into the office after this time is going on. They want us back into the office, like on back on a full-time schedule. I absolutely did not want to do it. And when I tell you, it took everything, and I mean everything. I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't, I don't, I don't want to do this. So at that point, my manager or my supervisor who I adored had moved on to another position. And I'm going to try and be so kind. Spirit, please give me strength, because you know how my mouth gets. They hired this other individual who whose personality kind of reminded me of one of the flying monkeys from The Wizard of Oz. Not to mention some other characteristical traits. But anyway, just a really nasty disposition, a nasty attitude. And, I know she was coming in. She was trying to make a name for herself. She was trying to make herself look good to her higher ups. And I get all of that. But, when you work with people, I don't care who you are or what you do. If you do not have the ability to be empathetic and to have a continuity about yourself that is calm to the point where you know how to get the best out of your employees, then you don't need to be in that position. I don't care how long you've been doing something. Just because you've been doing something for a long time and maybe you've learned the ins and outs and the best way of doing something, that's great. But if you don't have the skill set to be able to get the best out of people that work underneath you or that report to you, then you don't have any business being in a position of power. You shouldn't be a supervisor. You shouldn't be a manager. You shouldn't be an assistant director. You shouldn't be a director. You shouldn't be a president. You shouldn't be a CEO. If you don't have the ability to get the best out of the people, because you're serving them just as much as they're serving you. If you don't have the ability to get the best out of them, you need to probably just be like one of the sheeple. Be a sheeple. It takes a special type of person to be able to bring continuity to an already kind of chaotic environment and to build, to lift people up, to build them up so that they see within themselves that they have more to give, that they can do better, that they can produce more. That's how you build a team. Before this woman came on, we had a good cohesive team with our supervisor. Cohesive team. The minute this new entity, I'm going to call it an entity because that's how it behaved, like an entity. The minute this new entity made itself known and whose presence became, an everyday thing, the entire team went to it was, you didn't want to come into work. You didn't know what was going to happen at work. Some people had a lot of constant, please ignore my phone. I'm going to ignore it. Some people had constant anxiety and just trying to work underneath the pressure of having to deal with someone like this. This was the last straw for me. And I'm going to skip over a whole lot of stuff. This is what did it for me. So what did it for me was we had a meeting one morning and we would meet because at this point, we were still kind of working from home. They were trying to, they wanted to bring us back in, but we're still kind of working from home. Those 2 or 3, days out of the week. And so we would have meetings. We would have, Zoom meetings and we would go over, the contracts that we were working on, and any new things that need to be handed out, the general thing. And so one of the members of the team had made an error in a contract that they had been working on, and the entity proceeded to just completely berate and admonish this person in front of all of us. Now, first of all, I had an issue because that's just first, you don't treat people like that. If you have a problem with one particular employee with something that they did, then you speak to them. Why should you even have to tell grown folks that have any management or supervisory experience know how to handle an issue with an employee? You do not do it. And see how my voice, because I was upset. You don't do it in front of everyone. You pull them aside. You have a separate offline conversation. You don't bring anxiety and chaos and fear for this person in front of everyone to the team. You don't do that. Bad supervisor. You don't need to be supervising. You don't need to be in management at all because you have no people skills. Ergo, if you don't have people skills, what business do you have having a team? I digress. The other reason why I was pissed off is because this is an older woman. This is a woman that had been with the state all of her life. This woman was in her early to mid 60s. I don't know about you. I was raised to respect my elders. I was raised to respect everyone. But I wish I would come out the gate speaking to an elder like that in front of any one of my family members, because I absolutely promise you that I will be picking myself up off the floor. And that's what was seething through me. I just wanted to, if she was within reach, I probably just would have choked her up and just, who are you talking to? This woman has 20 plus years on you. She could be your mother. Who are you talking to? Okay. So at this point, let me just make a long story short. I said, I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. When it was over, I reached out to my coworker and I apologized for this dumbass entity. For how she treated her, because I was over the moon with it. I was pissed off. I was irritated. How disrespectful. Who hired this? Already answered my own question. Anyway, so to make a long story short, I think that day, I think it was the next morning, I gave my 2 weeks. I'm like, I am not working in an environment like this, because the minute she gets out the gate with me, I'm going to have to break the first promise, one of the first promises I ever made to my mother as an adult, and that was that I would not end up in an orange or black and white jumpsuit. So I said, you need to extricate yourself, Z, because this is not going to be a good environment for you. And so I did. I'll tell you about how that story went maybe another time, because this is not even the channel for that. The whole point that I'm trying to get at, and I'm sorry I went off on a tangent, was that at this point, I knew I don't need to be working for other people. I need to figure out how I can work for myself. But at this point in time, it wasn't anything that I really had the time to investigate. I was still getting ready to leave this job. I was taking care of my father, who had stage 4 prostate cancer. So that was a full-time job. So I just had a lot going on. I didn't have the time to look into it. So needless to say, after that, I had 2 more positions with the state. For the most part, that were pretty much good positions. But I finally, after my father passed, I got to a point and I was like, you know what? I don't want to work full-time for anyone. If you do a part-time gig or something like that, that's fine. I said, but I don't really have any desire to work full-time for anyone other than myself, because I'm tired. And at this point, I was 56, and I'm like, how much more time do I have left on the planet? And I know that I'm 4 years out, or 5 years out at that point from being able to even take early retirement. The only thing that I knew for sure was that I was leaving the US because the US was crazy. I could see it then. And I'm talking to my friends and family and they hear me, but they don't. Do they really hear me though? They don't really hear me though. Like I'm talking and, I see them looking at me and I know that they can hear the words that are coming out of my mouth, right? But there is this like glaze, like it's not clicking. It's not registering. I'm like, in a few years' time, you're not going to want to be here. So why wait? Start trying to figure out your exit now. Okay. I had a partner that obviously I found out after the fact, thought I was crazy. I wish you would have told me sooner. We could have solved that. But, so I ended up, when they say that things and people and things will fall away, that's exactly what happens. Because after my father passed away, I was like, that's it. I'm out. There's nothing keeping me here. I'm not married. I don't have any children. And there is no reason for me to stay. I have a little bit of money. I'm going to go and try and make a way elsewhere. So then that's when I just left the States altogether and I moved to Panama. Now, that move happened last year, in January of 2025. It is now August of 2026. And I am looking at all of the hell that is unfolding around the world, but also just particularly in the US. The wildfires that are going on left and right, the assassination attempts, what's the most recent thing? The water, the attack on, individual states' water systems. I mean, all of this stuff. I didn't know specifically what was going to happen. I just knew that the U.S. was going to go to hell in a handbasket. You know why? Because I believe in something called karma. And karma is not just germane to people. It is not. Karma extends to cultures. Karma extends to countries. And the U.S. has not always been the good kid in the sandbox. We're going to put it like that. And so when I say you reap what you sow, yeah, all of us do, including countries. And it was time. And so, I was sitting in my home office one day and I just heard Spirit say, baby girl, it's time to go. I just heard it like someone was in the room with me and just said it out loud. No one's with me. I'm there by myself. But I knew what that meant. So I sat there and I cried and I got out of my system. I'm like, okay, well, then I know what I need to do and I'm going to move forward with that. You can't make people believe you, and you can't get people to understand your point of view, because people who do not operate on the same frequency, they don't have the ability to hear you. They just can't hear you. You can talk all day long. It doesn't fall anywhere. It doesn't resonate with them. So they don't take it seriously. In hindsight now, as I speak to friends and family who are still there and they're like, you know what? You said, yeah, I know what I said. Yeah, I know what I said. And so now it's like, you're trying to scramble. They're trying to figure out, what are we doing? Are we, some of them are like, we're going to batten down the hatches and just, ride it out. I'm wishing you much love and all the best. Others have left. They listened and they left. And they're living a much better life now. And I'm very happy for them. And then others, I don't know what's happened to the other people. But my whole point around all of this is to say, when I speak here, I'm speaking to women that are hopefully, anyone that wants to listen, you're more than welcome to listen. But, my heart is with women who are like me, where you've spent much of your life caring for other people, taking care of other people, trying to look out for other people, when very few people, if any, ever looked out for you. And then you wake up one morning and you're like, you know what? I'm done. I'm done catering to family. I'm done catering to friends. I'm done catering to jobs that don't give a damn about me. I'm tired of pretending like, I matter to someone. I need to matter to me. I need to put me first. Because everyone else thrives when they're feeding off of your energy. The minute you take that energy back, what happens? So I'm like, I'm going to pour all this energy back into myself. That's what I'm going to do. And when I had the time to do that, now I can start looking, okay, what is it that I want to do? Well, I wanted something that was going to be easy, that was not going to take a whole lot of time because, like I said earlier, I don't know how much time I have. I'll be 58 this year, and I don't know how much more time I have. But what I do know is that I want to live my very best life. From here on out, it's my very best life. That's it. That's all. Nothing else is going to be acceptable. Nothing else is going to work or going to work for me at all. It's my very best life or nothing, right? So you're going to have something that's not going to take up a lot of time, something that can be done easily, something that can be automated, because again, if it's not automated, that means I'm constantly having to do things on my end. I don't have to worry about that. And then I want to create something or do something that will help other people. That was my entire goal. I want to earn money. I want to earn it online. I want to earn it from the comfort of my own home. I don't want to take up a whole lot of my time. I want to help other people. Boom. That's it. Other women. That's what I wanted to do. And so that's when I came across the system that I use right now, that, I put in 2 hours of work any time of the day that I want to, normally in the morning. I post what I've done. When I'm done that, I have the rest of my day to do whatever I want. I'm helping women realize that they too can earn money online and that it's not hard to do, with this system that is automated, that you set it up one time and then it's out there in the ether and it's just, you're making it. You can make money in your sleep because guess what? The internet never shuts down. The internet never shuts down. The internet may shut down one day, but right now it's up and alive and kicking, baby. And that thing is running 24/7. So once, you create content, you put it out there, it's out there. People are seeing you. They are seeing what you have to offer. They are seeing that you're giving them a solution, because nobody wants to be stuck, feeling like they're just going to spend their entire life working. I remember when I was a kid, and, I don't know, maybe I was 10, 11. And, I remember my parents and my grandmother were in the kitchen and they were talking about Social Security. And I'm like, what is Social Security? And so, what is Social Security? And, my grandmother's like, oh, that's when, the government gives you money, when you reach a certain age because you've paid into the system. Why are they going to give me money back that I've paid? Why am I paying? Why I just hold on to my money? I'm a kid. I don't understand. So the whole point of that little story is the fact that the whole thing was back then, during this time, which I think was like the late 70s, maybe early 80s, the retirement age was 55. And I remember thinking as a kid, my God, that's a long way. That's a long time. No, it's not. Because I just told you I'll be 58 this year. Had it not changed, I could be retired right now. But did it stay? No. Something else that we need to realize. You can't trust entities that are constantly changing things, right? They're constantly changing things. You want to keep pushing back the age of retirement because people are living longer. Get the hell out of here. Are you serious right now? You push back the retirement age because you don't want to pay into Social Security, because the money that you should be paying into Social Security, to help benefit and uplift your citizens, you're putting into, the war fund. I'm going to leave that alone. Did you hear me though? Okay. So the retirement age, full retirement age now, it was 55. Now it's 67. And you can take early retirement at 62, but you're going to lose 30% of the money. That's yours to begin with. It's your money. You paid into the system. It's your money. But if you retire early, they're going to take 30% back. Okay. You see why I can't be bothered? And I'm sure that I'm not the only one out there in the ether that can't be bothered. This is why it is so urgent. It was urgent for me to find a way to make money online and to earn online and to have it be easy and to have it be automated so I don't have to think about it, and just to be able to have a business online. That's why. And when I realized how many people are doing this successfully, I'm like, I just have to learn the skills. How hard can it be? I'm a lifetime learner. That's how I've always viewed myself. I'm always learning. Whether you go from agency to agency, you're learning something new about how one agency does things compared to how another agency does things. You're always learning something. I'm a lifelong learner. I always have been. I love learning. I don't have a problem with it. I'm learning my Spanish right now. Hola. Anyway, so I'm saying all this because just to let you know that you are not alone. I know I'm not the only one out there that felt this way. There are many of you that do feel this way. You're just tired of being tired. And it's like, as women, we carry so much for lifetimes, for a lifetime. We just carry so much on our back, and we never, especially if you're married and you have children, because you're always having to give your attention to someone else. You never have the time to give attention to yourself. I'm telling you that you can do this online. It will resolve, it will help you get out of debt. It will bring money into your bank account on a regular basis, right? It will be automated. You won't have to go back and keep reinventing the wheel. And just as important, you'll be helping other women. Just like hopefully I'm going to help someone out there that might see this. We have to get off the hamster wheel. We cannot stay on the hamster wheel doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, expecting something to change. We all know that's the definition of what? Insanity. I'm not insane, and neither are you. So if any of this resonated with you, let me know in the comments. I want you to comment my truth below. If you comment my truth below, I'm going to go ahead and shoot you out the Freedom Blueprint so that you can see how this works. You'll have a step-by-step systematic plan of how you can move forward with this. And you just take it from there and run with it, just like I did. We don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. We don't know what the future is going to hold. But what we do know as of today is that nothing in this life is free. And so if you want to be comfortable and not have to worry about where, your next meal is coming from, how you're going to get your rent or mortgage payment together, how are you going to get your credit cards paid, how are you going to get your child's tuition paid, whatever the case may be. If you want to let go of the worry and not have to worry about checking your bank account every time you need to get something, comment my truth below. Get this Freedom Blueprint, honey, and put it to work for you, because the elite have always known, right, how to turn a dime into a dollar. And now in this new technological age, we also have access to the same types of information. So my truth, get your Freedom Blueprint. This is not like my usual type of videos that I do. So if it seems crazy, I'm sorry. I just kind of had to get that off my spirit. And then, some people were asking. They just want to know a little bit more about you, I guess. So, there it is. If you have any questions, let me know. Comment in the comment section. Thank you for sticking around this long, sweetie. I'm wishing you all the best for whatever it is that you choose to endeavor to do in life. Life is short. As I always tell you all, HOAS, keep your head on a swivel. Because there are crazy things happening out here in the world today, particularly in the U.S. And if you frequent things like Walmart and Target, I've been hearing about these strange, crazy stories about women being watched, from, aisles over, being followed in the aisles, being, followed back to their car, one person at one entry, one person at an exit, both watching the same. Just please take care of yourself. Head on a swivel, be environmentally aware of who and what is in your immediate, environment. And as always, honey, keep speaking your truth. You are not alone in the struggle, and you don't have to be on the struggle bus. I'm telling you, there's a way out, but you have to make the decision that you're worth it and not be afraid to comment my truth below so you can get the information. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Much love. Take care. Bye-bye.